The man at Wudong renounced the secular world and became a Taoist for 3 years. I didn't expect that when he returned home, he actually brought a daughter-in-law for his parents. His parents were so happy that they almost brought out the betrothal gifts. After the exchange conference ended, Legend specifically gave Stetson a few days off. During these days, Stetson took senior sister home to visit his parents. As expected, his parents both highly approved of the daughter-in-law. Stetson's father even secretly pulled him aside, asked about the progress between him and senior sister, and offered to help prepare the betrothal gifts. Stetson smiled and reassured his father, saying, "Rest assured, Dad. I will do my best to make you hold your grandchild within your lifetime." During this period, Stetson has been living a very comfortable life. The only downside is that every night Stetson receives a barrage of text messages from Asher, making it impossible for him to sleep well. After saying goodbye to their parents, Stetson and senior sister finally returned to Wudong. As soon as people saw them coming back, the Wudong disciples started discussing. "Aren't those reticent senior brother and silent senior sister? I heard senior brother Walker mention them. He said they were amazing at the exchange conference." It turns out that Walker and the others came back a few days earlier. They have already spread the news about the exchange conference throughout the various Taoist temples on Wudong Mountain. Everyone now knows about Stetson and senior sister's cultivation achievements. However, despite this, Stetson does not consider himself superior. After all, everyone is a cultivator. Even though in his past life, he may have endured some disapproval from the sages, in this life, he does not want to become the kind of cultivator he once despised the most. But when the two returned to their residence, Master asked seriously, "Didn't I instruct you both to keep a low profile during this trip to Mount Mountain?" Senior sister was immediately frightened and shrank behind Stetson when she heard this. Stetson gave an awkward smile. He was about to explain the reason to Master. He saw Master chuckle. Then Master placed his hand on his shoulder and said, "Well done. Although we are only temporary residents of Wudong and not inheritors of the true martial great emperor, we are also cultivators of Wudong Mountain. This time you didn't embarrass me. But next, you need to return to your senses as soon as possible. Continue to cultivate peacefully in the mountains. Legend sent some things yesterday. There are 2 nice items inside. Consider them rewards for both of you on this trip. I have to go to the Taiha Palace for a meeting. I'll bring food back for you in the evening." After saying that, Ethan turned and left. At this moment, Stetson suddenly realized. Not seeing him for a few days, how come Master feels like he is about to break through again? Shortly after, the two returned to the room. They began to examine the things that Legend had brought. Perhaps it was to thank them for their efforts at the exchange conference. Legend had specially prepared many gifts for Stetson and senior sister. The gift prepared for him clearly had a lot of thought put into it. The ancient sword named Deep Wisdom may seem ordinary at first glance, but one can tell its true value with just a little bit of experience. The sword contains the sword essence, which is obviously designed specifically for sword cultivators. Although it may not be as profound as Lucas's golden core threaded jade burial suit or Asher's crescent moon black jade, it is still a rare treasure. It can be considered a decent reward for this trip to Mount Mountain. After trying it out, Stetson returned to the house and handed the sword to senior sister to take a look. Senior sister took the sword and gently stroked it. She shook her head in response. Stetson quickly responded, "Senior sister, rest assured. I wouldn't use it to harm living beings intentionally. He knows the sword's very nature." Senior sister must be worried that it has affected his Tao heart. Shortly after, he saw senior sister rummaging through the box again. She took out a piece of jade in excellent condition and handed it to Stetson. Stetson quickly waved his hand. "Senior sister, I already have this sword. This soul-calming jade pendant is meant for you." He didn't expect senior sister to send it directly. She was going to give him this jade pendant with an invincible sticker. But Stetson still waved his hand and refused. "This is a gift from Uncle Master to you. How can I take it?" Seeing that Stetson refused, Senior Sister immediately put on a pitiful look, with tears swirling in her eyes. How could Stetson resist that? He quickly said, "Senior Sister, wait for me," and then ran out of the room. In no time he returned. He handed a flute to Senior Sister with a red face. Originally, he intended to give it to Senior Sister as a birthday present on her birthday. Now he decided to bring it out in advance. "Senior Sister, if you want to give me something, you have to accept what I give you." Senior Sister happily took the flute. After a short rest, their days settled down again. Now, what Stetson needs to do is strive to elevate his own realm to the nascent embryo realm within a year. He also wants to experience the grain avoidance fasting. However, this peaceful time did not last long. They returned to the mountains in less than a month. Legend ran into their little courtyard with a worried look on his face again. He shouted, "Ethan, senior brother, evil ghost is harming people. Please, senior brother, come and help." Stetson had a curious look on his face upon hearing about the ghost, while Senior Sister's face turned pale with fear. At night, Stetson went to bed as usual. But he woke up in the middle of the night to find that Senior Sister was actually sleeping next to him. Stetson's face flushed red. With a start, he was about to sit up. Instead, he was pulled back by Senior Sister. At this moment, Senior Sister was also looking at him with a flushed face. She then pointed to the window beside her. Stetson immediately understood when he heard the howling wind outside. Senior Sister was startled by the wind. So he laid down again to help Senior Sister cover herself with the blanket and comforted her. "Don't be afraid. Go to sleep. I have to get up early to hit the road tomorrow." Later, comforted by Stetson, Senior Sister finally closed her eyes and fell asleep peacefully. Looking at the sleeping Senior Sister, Stetson thought of how Legend had come to ask for their help during the day to catch Ghost Senior Sister, and how scared she had looked as she huddled behind him. He had never expected that Senior Sister, a nascent embryo realm cultivator, would actually be afraid of ghosts. Suddenly Stetson remembered what Master had told him. In the past, in order to get Senior Sister to speak up, he had used ghost stories as a form of stimulus therapy. As a result, Senior Sister almost shut down. At the same time, she developed a fear of ghosts, which she still hasn't recovered from. He can still manage to scare Senior Sister to the point of being extremely jumpy. One can only imagine how strong of a dose Master gave her back then. But at this moment, he is comforting the distraught Senior Sister. This is also his responsibility as a junior brother. Have you seen a Taoist who captures ghosts like this? He holds a golden statue of the Buddha in his left hand and grabs a door god painting with his right hand. He also wears a cross and garlic around his neck. He claims it's a combination of Chinese and Western practices. But in fact, he doesn't want it this way. Originally, these things were all given by Senior Sister to Stetson before leaving. After all, it's Senior Sister's goodwill. Where could Stetson throw them away? So he brought these things with him and followed Legend to the destination of this trip. He just didn't expect it. Here is actually Legend's home in the mortal world. No wonder Uncle Master has been so secretive before. This seems a little like abusing power for personal gain. And before the commencement of the forum, Stetson also knew that the owner of this house named Liam is Legend's old brother. Because he has been financially supporting Wudong for the past few years, so Wudong also tacitly agreed to let them help with exorcising ghosts. But what puzzled Stetson is that Uncle Master clearly has abundant wealth. Why would he choose to renounce the secular world and cultivate? Could it be that he encountered some changes or difficulties, making him disillusioned with worldly matters? Uncle Master soon began the ritual of spell-casting blessings of the 5 directional deities. Clear heavens and bright earth. Left and right Dharma protectors. Quickly go and drive away the evil spirits in this place. As soon as the words fell, Stetson and Walker turned into 2 golden lights and disappeared. Legend had already discussed with them before exorcising ghosts. He was just going through the motions earlier. He and Senior Brother are the main members actually exorcising ghosts. This arrangement is mainly because others' understanding of cultivators still remains at the level of some movie content. Therefore, although Disciple is doing the actual work, the credit and achievements still need to be attributed to the old master. At this moment, Stetson opened a bedroom door. Countless energy whistled out from inside. Shortly after, two pairs of crimson eyes emerged from the darkness. Two ghostly souls appeared in front of Stetson. Stetson's face remained impassive, forming mudras with the hands, chanting incantations with the mouth. He emanated a dazzling light all over his body. He cleaned up the ghostly souls in the room in just an instant. A moment later, Stetson arrived outside and met up with Walker. Walker said he had made a circle and encountered more than 20 ghostly souls, a situation similar to Stetson's. This made Walker very puzzled. Could it be that the feng shui arrangement here has had a reverse effect? Speaking of this, Walker seems to have thought of something. But just as he was about to speak, Stetson gestured for him to keep quiet. Be careful, the walls have ears. Let's not mention this for now. Let's go meet with Uncle Master. No matter what, this place can still be considered Uncle Master's home. If someone is really up to something behind the scenes, they cannot just stand by and do nothing. Meanwhile, Legend is bearing some untold suffering. He is still holding the sword for spell casting. After all, everyone around is watching him. He has no way to stop just because he wants to. He was wondering why it is taking so long for them to come back after just driving away a ghost. Are those two kids reliable or not? Fortunately, Stetson and Walker finally came back at this time. Legend finally breathed a sigh of relief. He turned to let old brother prepare a quiet room for them to relax and recover in. Soon it was evening. Stetson and Uncle Master had a conversation and discussed the situation they encountered today. They shared their own speculations and suspected that it was very likely that there were other cultivators causing trouble. Legend frowned upon hearing this. It would be troublesome if there were other cultivators involved. As a reborn person, Stetson benefits from insights from his previous lifetime. His knowledge now is even broader than that of the Uncle Master. He naturally also knows some of the darker aspects of the cultivation world. The current situation may be due to the Legend family's wealth, attracting the covetousness of some evil cultivators. It could also be that Liam offended someone, causing the retaliation of an evil cultivator. At this time, Legend, who had been mulling fruitlessly, finally raised his head. He looked at Stetson and asked, "In your opinion, what should we do?" Stetson thought for a moment. "If we suddenly break the situation, it may cause the other side to act recklessly," he said. "Let's do it this way." And then like that. 30 minutes later, Legend and his own old brother were strolling in the manor. During their conversation, Legend asked old brother if he had offended anyone in recent years. Liam said that he had just been staying at home without offending anyone. Legend told him to think carefully. It seems that someone is trying to harm his entire family. However, Liam still insisted that he had absolutely not offended anyone. At this time, Stetson was inside the house, using True Essence to eavesdrop on the conversation between the two. From their conversation, Stetson learned that the Legend family seemed to have done something unethical in the past. The feng shui of the estate and Uncle Master's renunciation of the secular world seemed to have happened over a decade ago. Is there any connection between these events? The next day, after dealing with the ghostly soul Legend, I was prepared to return to report back. Just let old brother know if there is anything else. But when night fell, Stetson and Walker returned to the Legend family manor. It turns out they pretended to leave to lull each other into a false sense of security. Then they returned at night to lay an ambush. Walker asked Stetson how long they would have to wait. Stetson said they might have to wait until midnight, because that's when yang energy is at its weakest. It's also the time when the evil cultivator who raises ghosts is most confident. Liam's family is wealthy and well protected, with both nannies and security guards, along with a comprehensive surveillance system covering every angle. Even so, the ghostly souls they expelled today added up to 70 to 80. This is clearly not something that can be done in just 1 or 2 days. If it weren't for outsiders interfering, there would be no reason not to leave traces. Therefore, the mastermind behind releasing the ghosts is very likely an insider. However, even so, the person who released the ghosts did so with malicious intent. This kind of evil practice that uses ghostly souls to absorb people's yang energy and wipe out entire families is simply intolerable. At this moment, Walker asked Stetson, "Are we just waiting here? Is it useful?" Stetson replied that if it's an insider, to avoid prolonged trouble, they would likely make a move today. Now it's a test of patience between us to see who will prevail. Stetson finished speaking and sat cross-legged. He began to release his spiritual intuition. He covers the entire Legend family estate. Walker couldn't help but sigh when he saw it. He didn't expect Reticent's spiritual intuition to cover the entire mansion. Let alone my current cultivation achievement is not as good as his. Even if we are in the same realm, I'm afraid I can't do it either. In that case, I will protect Reticent thoroughly. Suddenly, Stetson's spiritual intuition sensed it. Someone is heading towards Liam's pavilion to rest. Just seen outside Liam's pavilion at this time. A security guard is holding a flashlight sneakily looking around. Then he took out a small cauldron from his pocket. He bit his finger and dripped blood onto that small cauldron. The next second, a dark green smoke floated out of the cauldron. It transformed into a huge and ferocious vengeful ghost. It floated above the head of the security. Then, one by one, the person and the ghost headed towards the pavilion where Liam was. Just as the vengeful ghost was about to stretch out its claws and break through the door, the gate suddenly emitted a dazzling golden light. The vengeful ghost was injured by the golden light, emitting a miserable scream. The security was also surprised. It turned out to be the Wudong talisman. Liam did make good preparations. However, although the talisman can protect against ghosts, but can it protect against me, a living person? Heaven and earth to revival. The skeptical gun-wielding police officer encounters a true Taoist practitioner of cultivation, but mistakes them for a scammer from the Jianghu world. He immediately handcuffed the person. As a result, he ran into a real ghost and was almost scared to death. Stetson went down the mountain for the first time to perform expelling evil rituals on behalf of someone. He then used his powerful Taoist arts talisman to vanquish 70 to 80 ghostly souls. However, it turned out that he could only defend against the vengeful ghosts. It couldn't defend against the traitor from within. Just as security was about to push open the door, a cold light suddenly flashed by. Stetson stabbed towards security with a sword. But what he didn't expect was that security actually had a sudden inspiration. He pushed open the gate and dodged this sword. And that vengeful ghost that was originally floating above security's head, it has now appeared behind Stetson, raising a huge fist, and smashed it fiercely towards Stetson. But what it hit was just an afterimage. The next second Stetson flashed in front of Vengeful Ghost. He decisively drew his sword and slashed towards Vengeful Ghost's neck. Just heard a clang. This sword is like striking a stone. It did not injure Vengeful Ghost at all. Suddenly, a sound came from Liam's room. Stetson immediately realized the situation was not good. He immediately stepped on Vengeful Ghost's back. He jumped directly to the second floor. At this time, Liam was just waking up groggily. Security was about to kill him with a small cauldron. Fortunately, Stetson intervened in time to save him at a critical moment. But security had no intention of giving up. He leaped back and threw several poison needles at Liam just at this critical moment. Stetson activated True Essence to control the poison needles. Then he swung his long sword to knock off all the poison needles. Looking at the fallen poison needles, Stetson found that these needles actually contained sinister True Essence that could harm Liam just by lightly touching his face. It would be difficult even for gods to save him. This evil cultivator was truly vicious. Meanwhile, the security guard holding a small cauldron sternly warned, "Wudong disciple, mind your own business." Stetson pointed his sword at him, saying, "Drive away evil spirits that harm people. Those who use demons and evil spirits to harm the world must be eliminated." He realized that tough talk was ineffective. Security decisively took action and started fighting with Stetson. However, after a few moves, security suddenly stopped and began chanting a spell. The next second, the vengeful ghost broke through the window and lunged straight at Liam. Stetson couldn't help but think to himself, "This person would rather drag me along than let the vengeful ghost take Liam's life. What kind of grudge is there between them?" But no matter what, saving people is the priority. Stetson instantly arrived by Liam's side. He stabbed the vengeful ghost in the stomach with a sword, forcing it to retreat. At the same time, he was also calculating in his mind. "I rushed over because I sensed something unusual just now. Walker should have also sensed it, and be on his way. In that case, before senior brother arrives, let me hold back this person and ghost first." When security saw Stetson protecting Liam again, it decided not to hold back anymore. Immediately, he manipulated the vengeful ghost to attack Stetson again. Stetson also refused to back down. He dodged the attacks of vengeful ghost while using 7 stars footwork. He looked for an opportunity to counterattack. Suddenly, Stetson leaped up, gathering his true essence upon the sword. He swung his sword towards vengeful ghost and split it into 2 halves. There was only a loud bang. The small cauldron in security's hand exploded. Stetson took advantage of the situation and struck with 3 sword chi. Security was unable to dodge in time and was directly sent flying out. Accompanied by security falling to the ground, the vengeful ghost also gradually dissipated. But unexpectedly, at this desperate moment, security actually directly sacrificed his own vital soul. He merged with that vengeful ghost. The vengeful ghost's body suddenly grew several times larger. Spikes also grew on its body. It was surrounded by a pile of skulls. Seeing this, Stetson couldn't help but wonder, how many vital souls did that evil cultivator use to refine this vengeful ghost? At the same time, Walker finally arrived with security personnel. He yelled into the house, "Reticent, are you okay?" Stetson decisively jumped out of the window upon hearing the sound. Then he threw Liam to Walker and asked him to protect Liam and take him away from here. Immediately he slashed at the vengeful ghost with his sword. However, the strength of the deep wisdom sword lies not in vanquishing ghosts. Its effectiveness against such spectral beings is limited. It would be better to use a talisman, like Asher Lucas, for effectiveness. Stetson immediately came up with an idea when thinking of this. He used the 7 stars footwork to evade the vengeful ghost's attacks while yelling, "Senior brother, quickly give me Uncle Master's talisman." Walker quickly began searching for the talisman Liam after hearing this, and turned to give orders to his subordinates. "Quickly bring all the other talismans posted in other places over here," he instructed. At this moment, Stetson faced the vengeful ghost with increased hostility and had a plan to deal with it. Since they couldn't kill it directly, they decided to wear it down until it perished. Immediately, he executed the 7 stars footwork, creating several afterimages. He activated the 7-star sword formation to surround the vengeful ghost in the middle. He used incantations to deplete his soul power. He trapped his figure with a sword formation. At this time, Walker finally brought the talisman. Stetson caught the talisman. He was ready to combine it with the exorcising ghost's talisman to eliminate the ghost. Only to see Stetson threw the talisman bag in his hand. Countless talismans flew out. Stetson used his true essence sword chi to penetrate through the stacked talisman buffs. He launched a sword rain talisman attack towards the center of the formation where the vengeful ghost is located. Then the talisman hit the vengeful ghost, igniting fierce flames. Eventually, the entire body of the vengeful ghost was engulfed in golden flames, emitting agonizing screams. Stetson nodded slightly upon seeing this. It is indeed effective. The evil cultivator in the pavilion should have lost his sanity. Otherwise, the vengeful ghost wouldn't have left Liam alone. In that case, as long as he keeps on consuming like this, he will definitely be able to eliminate the vengeful ghost. However, just as Stetson was locked in a fierce battle with the vengeful ghost. Meanwhile, things took a turn for the worse on Walker's end. A group of police officers armed with guns suddenly burst in. They said they received an alert that someone was about to. Liam is not in a favorable position to investigate. Stetson sensed through spiritual intuition that these people were in a hurry and shouted loudly. Senior brother, stop them. Don't let them get involved. Give me another 5 minutes. This thing won't last much longer. At the same time, Liam stood at the door, explaining to Fatty Leader. It's true that there are ghosts, they really didn't lie. But Fatty Leader doesn't believe it at all. He bluntly said, What era is this? Where do ghosts come from? At this moment, suddenly there was a whoosh sound, and Walker appeared next to him. He smiled and explained, Police uncle, my junior brother only needs 20 minutes to dispel the vengeful ghost. Everyone, please remain calm. But Fatty Leader only thought he was a swindler from the Jianghu, so he was trying to deceive Liam into having a few people guard the side door. He was about to break in directly. Walker quickly dodged in an attempt to block it. Little did he know that this Fatty Leader not only ignored the advice. He even pulled out the gun at his waist. He pointed the gun directly at his own forehead. He then had people detain him on the grounds of obstructing official business. The reason why Fatty Leader dares to do this is because since the Chi revival, the authorities have ordered police officers to carry firearms while on duty. Shooting is allowed in special circumstances. Walker could only helplessly sigh as he could not stop these people. Well, just let them in to see for themselves. However, when the police entered, they were shocked by the sight in front of them, collapsing in fear and shouting in panic that there really are ghosts. And when the vengeful ghost saw the living, it immediately picked up a stone and hurled it in their direction. He saw the stone about to hit several people. Walker outside the door quickly broke free from the handcuffs. He swiftly maneuvered around to the front of Fatty Leader. He deployed a move of Tai Chi push hands to borrow force and strike back with strength. He threw the boulder in another direction. He then turned around and smiled. Officers, the vengeful ghost is violent. Please don't provoke it. Upon hearing this, Fatty Leader was completely scared silly. His subordinates asked the captain what they should do now. This matter has already exceeded their handling capabilities. Fatty Leader pretended to be calm and said, What's the panic? You guys report the situation here to headquarters first. Others stay at their posts. Cooperate with the Taoist master inside to shoot at the vengeful ghost. Walker hurriedly spoke up after hearing this. Wait. Normal bullets won't hurt the vengeful ghost, they will only trigger its ferocity. Ghosts belong teen. To dispel it, we need something with strong yang energy. Can we get some rooster blood? It's best if it's black rooster blood. Upon hearing this, Fatty Leader immediately ordered someone to find it. However, it wasn't long before Stetson's talismans here ran out. Seeing the vengeful ghost about to attack again, he was momentarily at a loss. Fortunately, at that moment, Walker threw a pile of rooster blood, which all landed on the vengeful ghost. Right after that, he saw the thick scales on the vengeful ghost's body gradually melting away, turning into wisps of smoke. Seeing that the rooster's blood was indeed effective, everyone was very happy. But at this time, the vengeful ghost had not been completely defeated yet. On the contrary, being injured had completely triggered its ferocity. It rushed towards them. In a desperate situation, Walker decisively took action and summoned the true martial Great Emperor's avatar. He blocked an attack from the vengeful ghost, and he blasted it away. But he also flew back several meters. But at least, he finally created an opportunity for junior brother. Stetson jumped up. He gathered all his true essence onto the sword. He used the 7-star sword technique to stab at various acupoints of the vengeful ghost. He finished performing a set of sword technique, only to see the 7 streams of sword chi on vengeful ghost's body instantly connected together. Then it suddenly exploded with a dazzling white light. Vengeful Ghost also gradually dissipated in the white light. But shortly after destroying Vengeful Ghost, Stetson also collapsed due to excessive consumption of true essence in his body, temporarily losing consciousness. Although he did not remain unconscious for too long. But when he woke up, he still felt somewhat weak. His condition gradually improved after he took a short rest. After this great battle, he also gained unexpected rewards. Now he is standing in front of the gate of the nascent embryo realm. His trip can be considered worthwhile. But at this moment, there was a sudden knock on the door outside. Stetson opened the door and saw two people he didn't recognize. The two claimed to be members of the special investigation team specially sent to handle the Vengeful Ghost incident. The woman's name is Eleanor. The man's name is John. And Eleanor is a fan of Stetson. She passed Stetson's approval. She immediately picked up her phone and took a few photos with Stetson. After being reminded by Stetson, she then remembered there was business to discuss. She cleared her throat twice to indicate, in fact, it is our leader who would like to talk to you. Please wait for a moment. Someone will initiate a video call with you. I'll be waiting outside. Just call me when your call is over. Sure enough, Stetson received the video call not long after. But when he clicked to answer, when he saw the face of the person on the other side, he was shocked and opened his mouth, shouting, "Female master. Do you know those Taoists who have already renounced the secular world? Can they actually get married and have children? Just like the Taoists on Wudong Mountain can." He is looking at the woman in the video opposite him. Stetson remembered his first Chongyang festival when he was pulled by Master to drink for the first time. The drunken Master told him, "If you want to marry, then marry. If you want children, then have children. I am very open-minded. Just be devoted to your wife." Stetson was puzzled why Master suddenly brought up this matter. Master only did so with the help of alcohol. He recounted an old story from the past. Originally, Ethan was once in love with a woman. However, he faced opposition from his master. He had intended to plead with his master, but the woman, with a fierce temperament, chose to leave directly. Since then, she has disappeared for more than 10 years with no news. Until 2 years ago, she had someone send 2 photos. This is when Ethan found out. He actually has another child who is about the same age as Stetson. And the woman in front of him is exactly the female master in the photo. Stetson saw that the other party was not speaking. He hesitantly called out, "Female master." The woman on the video sighed lightly. "There is something I would like to ask for your help with. Could you please pass a message to your master for me? If he still cares about his daughter, please come to see me as soon as possible." Upon hearing this, Stetson immediately thought of something. Little junior sister might have encountered some cultivator trouble. So, he took out his phone and dialed Master's number. Then he turned on the speakerphone. He thought happily to himself. As long as he could have a direct conversation, Master should have a way to win back female Master's heart, right? But just moments later, he heard the familiar tone on the other end of the phone. "Sorry, the number you have dialed is not currently reachable." Stetson was stunned for a moment. He quickly explained to the female master, "It's possible that the signal is not very good at Master's place. Let me contact senior sister. Please don't worry for now." Stetson sent a message to senior sister as he spoke. He asked senior sister where Master had gone. Senior sister quickly replied with a sticker, indicating that Master left a letter and ran off without saying a word. She took a picture of the letter and sent it to him. Take a look at it yourself. When Stetson saw the content of the letter, it turned out that Master was about to break through Golden Core Realm. He needed to seclude himself for a while, so he ran off to South Mountain. Reading the content of the letter, Stetson only felt speechless. "Master, you are destined to live a lonely life. The timing of this is just too coincidental." He sighed at this moment. He briefly explained the situation to senior sister. Shortly after, he walked out of the room. He asked when Eleanor would depart. "This time, my senior sister will also participate. Let's go back to Wudong first to pick her up. Stetson was also thinking about it. Master's wife and daughter are in trouble. Senior sister will naturally not stand idly by. However, female master actually took the initiative to contact us. It seems there is really some trouble. But even if it's a dangerous situation, I will still rescue junior sister back. Later, the group prepared to go to Wudong Mountain to pick up senior sister Stetson, as they learned from Eleanor. The father of the evil cultivator, security, and old brother both died in a mine accident in their early years. Because that mining area belongs to the Legend family, he has now targeted Liam for revenge. At this moment, Eleanor suddenly received a message from her colleague. Just now, the security officer who attempted murder died, and his death was extremely gruesome. Stetson looked at the photo of the security officer's death, as well as the mark on his arm resembling a taiji diagram. He concluded that the security guard should have died from the yin-yang bloodthirsty goo, a type of goo where yin and yang interact with each other. The ancient texts record that they can enhance the spiritual intuition of the person who has been gooed. They can also cause the other party to die from thousands of miles away. Moreover, this symbol, although resembling a taiji diagram, is likely not. It is very possible that it is a pattern of his organization behind him. So he allowed Eleanor to investigate from this aspect. And from the yin-yang gu taiji diagram and the previously destroyed wooden cauldron magical artifact. These three things are sufficient to prove that a certain evil cultivator organization has grown in scale. I'm afraid they will try to establish contact with major sects as soon as possible. Eleanor also realized the seriousness of the situation after hearing this. She quickly asked Stetson to wait for a moment. She would go inform her colleagues right away. Stetson, on the other hand, stood still with a serious expression. After all, it involved the secrets of the previous lifetime. He also couldn't explain everything clearly. He just hoped he could prevent it from happening this time. After all, this time they were facing the evil cult organization of the Yin-Yang sect, which almost overturned the entire world in the previous lifetime. Stetson had to be cautious as well. The next day, Stetson successfully received the news that senior sister was officially setting off to rescue little junior sister. In the car, Eleanor was looking at Mila with shining eyes. The silent immortal maiden is really beautiful. She has a good figure and fair skin. There are no flaws at all. It seems like Eleanor is getting a bit too enthusiastic. Stetson hurriedly explained that he is female master subordinate, not a bad person. Senior sister nodded while eating. These words also hit Eleanor a bit, but on the way, Stetson finally learned the true identity of that special investigation team from Eleanor's mouth. In ancient times, a hero uses martial arts to break the rules, an immortal uses law to overturn the heavens. Now, the cultivation civilization is thriving again.